Hey everyone, welcome back to Milwaukee Uncut. We've got a fun one today with a legitimate professional athlete, Colin Blackwell of the NHL's Dallas Stars, who played for the Admirals a few years ago and actually still makes Milwaukee home in the offseason. He was nice enough to drop down. He's got some great stories about just coming up in the ranks, playing for Harvard, being in Milwaukee, and spending time in the NHL, and actually has a really good inspirational story. This was also co-hosted by my buddy Joe Stanton, who grew up with Colin in high school, and Pat Connaughton was part of that crew. Joe came to Milwaukee when Pat was traded with the Bucks, so he traded to the Bucks. So Joe's been here for about the last 7-8 years. It's a fun one. I hope you enjoy it. Before diving in, just want to thank our partners, Nicolay Law, the Midwest law firm, Three Sheeps, the beer Wisconsin drinks, and Drink Wisconsinably Beverage Company. You'll see their stuff all over the studio during this episode. We thank them for their support, and thank you for tuning in. Let's dive in with Colin Blackwell and my amazing co-host, Joe Stanton. We've got a legitimate professional athlete here today, Dallas Stars, NHL. Colin Blackwell, he's a Harvard University grad because of hockey, not brains. That appeared in my outline somehow.
That must have been from Joe.
I didn't type that. 2011 San Jose Sharks draft pick, 9 years of pro hockey, 91 career NHL points. He was on the ads and the Preds, bounced back and forth a little bit from 2016 through the 1920 season. So I'm looking forward to talking about your time in Milwaukee. Actually still lives in Milwaukee in the off season. So we'll chat about that with his wife, Lauren, and has a golden doodle and is chilling with Oakley right now and coming off a great season.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to finally be a part of this. I've been following you guys for a little while now, so appreciate you having me.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. And also with me, co-hosting, I think for the first time on Milwaukee Uncut, but he co-hosted several times on the old show when Pat Connaughton and the legendary Craig Nall came on. We've got Joe Stanton, a friend of Colin since high school or earlier, back in Boston, back in the Masshole days.
Yeah, grew up playing against each other a little bit in hockey when we were younger, and then become even better friends once he was in Milwaukee, and I moved to Milwaukee to start up continue Three Leaf and Pat's foundation when Pat came, and he went to high school with Pat, so we got some stories there to tell too. But yeah, good to be back on as well. I appreciate you letting me co-host.
Absolutely.
You guys will hire anyone over here, huh?
Joe is an esteemed partner at Three Leaf Development. Once carried our team in the Zizzo donut eating challenge, where he took down 5 Krispy Kremes in a few minutes. I only took down 4, then proceeded to accidentally black out after about three and a half beers over at Oak Brewing in Lion's Tail, which Bree witnessed. So to anyone listening,
for a very bad hangover too, right?
Yes,
of the sugar
terrible hangover for that volume. For anyone listening, don't pound 4 Krispy Kremes for dinner, eat nothing else, and then have even just a few beers.
Yep,
you're done.
Bad
I think
combo.
you had a flight the next morning, so you luckily didn't do that.
Exactly. I left a little earlier than you did.
And then we retired. We did not participate this year. Also, through the Pat Connaughton Foundation golf outing, along with PC, exercised his visionary talents by bringing the first ever fully handicapped net ramble to the United States of America this year. Joe Stanton.
Wow.
Yep, that's true. There were some people, we're not going to name any names, but he's sitting right in the room with us who was very upset with the format change. But so
Colin, you're just walking into a therapy session right now.
Exactly.
I thought this was going to be a roast of me, but they're going back and forth.
Oh, God. We'll get more into that later.
Just needed to clear the air on the podcast quick, or throw that out there. We will get to this. I think we'll kick this off with, we got a story from Charlie Larson.
Oh, boy.
Over at the Admirals, friend of the show. He said you once autographed someone's boob in Rochester.
I love this stuff.
That is very
Potentially
true.
to someone watching. Let's kick it off there. Colin Blackwell, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Wow, that's a hell of a way to start.
I could ask you a little backstory and stuff like that, but I thought,
yeah,
just dive right into it.
Yeah, obviously playing in the AHL before I got to Milwaukee, I was playing for the Rochester Americans, and they have season ticket holders and season ticket holder parties, and I got to know this family, and it was the very last game we lost in the playoffs, and the family was waiting by my car, and the woman came up to me and just said, "Hey, I have a crazy request maybe, and I'm hoping that you would do it." And it was the whole family, and I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like, what's going on?" And she was like, "Well, you were nice to my family and my kids and stuff, and we got to know you this year. We enjoyed watching you play. Don't think you're going to be coming back, but yeah, like my sister or somebody in her family is a tattoo artist, and I want to get your signature tattooed on my body to like commemorate the season." And I was like very caught off guard. I was like, "Oh, like, are you sure about that?" Like, I play in the AHL. Like,
hey, I will say this: that tattoo she's got has got a lot more value now. I mean, you got a great career.
Yeah. She was on the come up. She was on the come up.
Yeah. So that was one of my. I remember coming to Milwaukee and I told Charlie that story, and and then I was like, "Well, where do you want this?" And I ended up. Yeah, I'm not sure if Charlie told you exactly where it was, but maybe right on some cleavage. And when last time I saw a picture of the woman, you see my signature right there, bright. And so I guess she ended up following through with it. And that's like a story that I think my mom was not too happy when she heard that, and it's kind of the running joke in my family ever since that happened.
I actually have a little more detail than maybe he's shared that I could chime in with, but
maybe I'm trying to do that for a reason.
What I recall was he actually likely wasn't going to do it because she was there in front of her kids and her son, to which her son then started chanting, "Sign mommy's boo." So then he couldn't let the kid down, and then
how can you not love Rochester? I mean, is your current wife Lauren threatened at all that your name is on tattooed on someone else's cleavage?
I think she was appalled when I told her that story, but I don't think she felt threatened. She was just shaking her head.
Still accepted your proposal, and you now have a child together.
Yeah, so. Now this will probably be going on resurface online because Joe and Charlie Larson, so I thought this
two
was
upstanding citizens.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie.
All right, do you guys want to talk about maybe the early days?
Yeah. I mean, so growing up, obviously, we, like I said, played a little hockey against each other, and he was a lot better, obviously, than I was.
You're a Fairfield legend, right?
Yeah.
Still a rec league participant. I saw that scar you had last year.
Yep,
right?
100%. Yeah, a little
hockey?
stick to the face. Yeah,
stick
to the face. So.
Were you wearing a half shield?
I was wearing a halfie.
Oh,
yeah.
so dumb.
Yeah, so dumb.
You're playing men's league and
wearing a halfie. You're kind of a loser.
Really be wearing a halfie.
So, now I've graduated to the full cage. Not after a couple accidents, but anyway. So yeah, we obviously grew up playing hockey together, and then he grew up with our mutual good buddy Pat Connaughton. Went to high school together, so I'm sure there's some stories there. But I'll let you unpack that. I don't know if you got anything you want to roast him about while he's not here.
Yeah, no, I mean maybe I'll save that for a little later. But yeah, Joe obviously played. The way they do hockey, birth years is I'm born in 93 and you're in 92, so we never really growing up like played against each other. It wasn't really till like high school, but I knew who he was, and his dad ran a hockey shop that we used to. It was further away from my house, but we used to shop at and buy some stuff. So just knowing that him and his family were always kind of in the hockey community. And then I got really close with Pat in high school and then afterwards. And now, our wives are friends and we got kids growing up with each other. So, it's been a lot of fun, especially coming here where I didn't really know anyone moving here. And then having him, follow suit makes life a lot better.
Yeah, the timing was great. I mean, we moved here literally at the exact same time. He was playing with the Admirals. Pat had just signed with the Bucks. So we moved here. And like you said, our wives have gotten along really well and got kids around the same age. We got a funny picture, by the way, that maybe we'll have to surface of my daughter Emery and his son Bo hanging out a couple weeks ago. And Bo, he's a unit. He's a big guy. Maybe he'll be a goalie. We'll see.
Oh, I hope not. That's expensive.
How big was the high school you and PC went to?
Man, our graduating, it was pretty good. I'd say around like 1,200 kids or so.
Okay.
It's turning into like.
But it's rare that like two pro athletes who made it to the top come out of one high school class. Were you guys like a loaded high school or?
Yeah, we were pretty stacked. It's actually, I just saw the stat. It wasn't this past year, it was maybe a couple years ago, but we're the first high school in the U.S. to have one player from like, or one student athlete from, freshman to senior year, that 4 grades, all playing in the 4 major sports and professional sports. So I was NHL, Pat was NBA, Mike Yastrzemski was baseball. He just got traded from the San Francisco Giants to Kansas City Royals, I think. And I grew up with him too. Our parents and moms went to high school with each other. And then there was a kid, Max Burt, who played for the Patriots in the NFL. So it was all 4 major sports. So when we were there, like I feel like majority of the teams were either going to or like winning state championships. And, it's a little controversial because we're like a private school playing against sometimes public schools. It's like they do a mix. So we kind of had a little bit of an advantage. I'm not going to lie. He's smirking over there. But
they beat the shit out of us. So, excuse my language.
I think when I was there, I played in 3 lacrosse state championships. We won 1 and then 1 hockey state championship, and we lost in double overtime, which was a heartbreaker. But then Pat and basketball team, football team was good, like swimming, all that stuff. Like everybody, like now they're even better. Like
powerhouse school for sure.
Did you play other sports or just hockey?
Just hockey and lacrosse.
Okay.
Yeah. So my brother was a big lacrosse player. He played lacrosse in college at Bentley University, which is like a school in right outside of Boston. So he was a lacrosse guy. I was the hockey guy, and
to pump his tires a little bit. He was a very good lacrosse player too. I think could have maybe dabbled in 2 sports probably in college if you really wanted. But
I almost did actually. There was my sophomore year, there was like a cheating scandal at school where like 300 people got kicked out of school. It was like dumb. It was a take-home final that people collaborated on, and a lot of lacrosse players ended up getting hockey players as well, and a bunch of people were just had to take like a semester off from school because they were affiliated with it, and they needed lacrosse players, and 2 players from my team were playing on 2 players on my team from high school were playing in college, and so that coach had known me from going to go watch them, and I was going to try to walk on to the team my sophomore year, but that's when I ended up taking a little bit of time off because of the concussions and stuff. So that would have been fun to. I mean, you look at Pat playing 2 sports. I don't know how he did it. So looking back, I don't think it would have worked out, but it'd be pretty cool to have said I'd done that. But
this happened at Harvard?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy. I got a question back to the roast. Was this the government class where you have the infamous the infamous story?
Different class, but yeah, I guess I can tell that story. So it's like our sophomore year, you have to like declare your major, and my major, I was started as an economics major, and the tests were just like so hard. So like I would get like a 40 or a 50%. And then 2 weeks later, they'd scale it up and you get like a B or a B plus or something. And I was like, I can't go the rest of my career, like college career, like basically having anxiety for like 2 or 3 weeks until I actually get what my grade is. So I switched over to, it was government. It was the same exact classes, but instead of taking a test, you would write a paper. And so there was this main class for that major, and I had just gotten a concussion, my like first concussion that I had 2 in 1 year, and then I ended up taking some time off from school because it wasn't really healing right. And so I was a little like dazed and confused, but you have to get like participation points for going to these classes, so I'd show up anyways. And I was sitting in the front row, which was closest to the the exit, basically, to sneak in and sneak out. And basically they had done a like a raise of hands of, how many people are you from like left wing or right wing from like a political standpoint? And I didn't raise my hand. And the guy was like, you didn't raise your hand. Like, what are you? Like, you're not left wing or right wing? I was like, no, I actually play center. thinking he was talking about hockey.
That's so
So
good.
yeah, that was
Love that story.
it's a pretty embarrassing story. I realized like afterwards, I was like walking down to the rink and I'm like, this guy either thinks I'm dumb as a rock or I'm like a very clever guy.
We'll blame that one on the concussion.
Yeah, that's what I do. I blame it on that.
Yeah.
So
Any
story.
good high school stories with you guys before moving on? Anything that stands out?
yeah, I mean, I think just like looking back, I mean, a lot of us in high school kind of revolved around Pat, like going to some of his games and stuff. I'm trying to think hockey-related stories. Unfortunately, in high school, our team was a little bit better,
Yeah,
so we
just
didn't
a
get a
little bit
chance to
better,
play
yeah.
against each other.
Yeah.
Too much. I'm trying to think.
Who did the best with the ladies out of you three?
I mean, I'm 5'9", and Joe and Pat got the height, so I think I'll give it to those two.
Yeah, and then if between the two of us, I mean, it's got to be me, I think. But,
Yeah, for sure.
Pat's not here to defend himself.
Look at baby
he's
blue eyes.
definitely not. He's got an open invitation, but he's not here to defend himself.
I know,
so I think-
true. So,
all right,
yeah,
Joe
it's
Stanton.
Yeah, 100%. I'll take that accolade.
Golf clap. But yeah, I was gonna say like high school. I felt like we didn't really get close till like after
Yeah,
once we
it
kind of both
honestly
moved
really
here.
was. Yeah, 100%. It was really the Milwaukee era where we got super close and hung out all the time, and we had
that's
a
cool.
blast. Yeah, a lot of good stories there. But yeah, like you said, in high school, our teams were of different calibers, so we didn't play each other often, or if we did, we could probably got embarrassed. So I'm glad we didn't. But yeah, like you said, they went to the state finals the senior year, lost a heartbreaker in double overtime. Pat and I were there. It was at the TD Garden. We were there in the
At the
stands.
Garden,
We were in
too.
the stands rooting them on. But yeah, who's it? Malden Catholic, I think that one. Yeah. So
Yeah, we had a good team. We had probably, I think it was 4 or 5 kids eventually like get drafted, and then probably 8 or 9 guys play D1 or like pretty good. So that team, like even though kids were young at the time, we had a really good team. So we also played a good team that had a lot of kids play Division I draft picks and stuff. So that was
Fun fact. I actually was trying to do a little research, due diligence before the episode. I was looking to see the all-time point, leading scorers in St. John's Prep hockey history. He's on the list. He's in the top 10, but they only have one recorded season for him, and he's got like 65 points, and he's like 5th on the list. Everyone else had like 3 or 4 seasons, so you might be the all-time leading scorer.
be the
Potentially,
guy.
we got to go back and look to the records.
I think we could look that up. I didn't even know that was a thing.
But yeah, there was like 33 goals, I think, in his senior year in like 24 games or something. That's pretty impressive.
Colin, when did you get drafted? Is it after you
Yeah,
Is it
so
after you graduate, or is it early in hockey, like baseball, where they?
Yeah, it's early, but it's like, so I got drafted after that, like senior year of high school. So that was the June of, so I was 8, when you turn 18, that's like your first draft year.
So could you have gone to like the AHL right away, or do they want you to play college ball?
I
Or,
mean,
like,
some kids do, the studs do. I was not like
okay.
ready. Like that would be more like the first or maybe a second round draft pick or something. Like it's pretty rare. Like the game has gotten so much younger from when I first came into the league to now. Like I feel like with the salary cap and stuff along those lines, usually the younger players are on their entry level deal, which if they're pretty good players and they're trying to, maneuver around the salary cap and they're good enough to play, then it's a little bit easier for teams to develop them and stuff. But most of the time, especially like the American players, some Canadian guys, they'll go to college for 1 to 4 years until the team thinks they're ready, and then they'll sign them to a contract. So I did like 4.5, 5 years of college. So
that's interesting. So you signed at the end of high school.
I got drafted. I didn't sign until they had my rights, basically. So that's how like the hockey world works. They draft you, and then they have your rights. So like every summer, I got drafted by San Jose, and I would like go to a prospects camp in San Jose over the summer. Like you work out, you stay there for like a week or something like that, and skate, and just like. There's always scouts at your games, keeping in touch, stuff along those lines. So
did you get any money when you got drafted, or no?
No, it's changed because back then it was like the NCAA violation of stuff. So I never signed a contract because if I signed, then you would lose your college eligibility. So I would go to these like training camps, and like my dad would pay for it because technically back then you couldn't even accept like a plane ticket or like hotel, or like when I would go, all the kids who were signed would get per diem and stuff, and the college kids weren't technically allowed to. So now it's a little different where these kids are getting, paid a lot of money, or they're able to accept all these benefits. But this was, 2011. So yeah,
way before all the NIL and all that stuff. So it's, I will say the interesting thing, not to bring it back to Pat, but Pat's story, being able to play the two sports, he was able to take some money when he was in college for baseball when he got drafted by the Orioles his junior year of college. He couldn't play baseball senior year, but he was still able to go back to school and play basketball and finish. So it's kind of an interesting loophole that he found from the two sport thing. But
did he get a bunch of money, or did he turn down a bunch from the Yankees, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, he had an offer from the Yankees when we were seniors in high school to go and be, I think it was like their first or second round pick, a couple $1 million, and he turned it down. And then
at the end of high school, which is wild.
Yeah, chose to go to college and ended up obviously working out for him. But it's pretty wild, the loophole that he found.
But now it's like crazy. Kids are, I don't think Harvard hockey would have been getting paid a lot of money via NIL, but some of these kids I was talking to, like Notre Dame hockey player was getting, you just saw a Penn State kid is getting paid like $750,000 a freshman. He's supposed to be the first overall pick. I gotta
think like
he's unbelievable.
Oh, okay, so he's that good.
Yeah.
So Harvard, they're not getting basketball money, but they're getting good money.
Yeah.
But Harvard's like most revenue generating sports have probably got to be just football, basketball, and hockey, right?
Yeah, probably up there. I would say football and basketball for sure. Hockey's probably up there. I don't know about maybe some of the other sports, but yeah, definitely football. And their basketball team is, from when I was there, it was year before I came in was the Jeremy Lynn Sanity thing, or he just kind of crushed it in the NCAA tournament, and that's when he kind of took off. He might have been a couple years before me. Maybe Linsanity was when he was on the Knicks and I was in college during then. But yeah, the basketball team, they had a really good run every year.
Wait, and so I got a question actually. This is something I've actually never even asked you, but where did you obviously got recruited from some other schools too, some other colleges before picking, and I'm sure some of them were the other hockey schools and stuff. Yeah, who were the other schools, and was it a hard decision?
No, so I had other offers. So I went on all these tours and stuff of campuses, and actually Ted Donato is the coach at Harvard still. He was the one that kind of engraved this in my head, and I was like, okay, he was like, say if you are playing hockey now and then tomorrow you blow out your knee and you can't play hockey, he was just like, what kind of degree do you want? Do you want it from X school, maybe one of the rivals, or do you want it from Harvard? And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. He was looking for life after hockey.
My mom and dad have a degree from BU if you were taking a shot at
yes,
that.
I was. Actually.
Shout out to JB.
But all the Mass kids growing up, they all wanted to go to BU and BC. Yeah. They were the teams that when I was going into college hockey, they were the top teams in the country winning bean pots. But to be honest with you, they showed interest in me, but they weren't really that interested. I was kind of a late bloomer, and then the day after I committed to Harvard, they both called me and were like, oh, maybe we want you now. And I was kind of like,
you're like, it sucks to be you, I'm not going.
No, I was kind of like, I don't know, it annoyed me because as a kid, you wanted to kind of go there. So then my mindset when they didn't really show that much interest in me was kind of I wanted to play against them, and I wanted to play in the bean pot. So that was something that I wanted a chance to do. So there's only 4 teams, and then I almost committed to Yale and Brown at one point. Those were I committed really late. It was kids were committing at 14 to 16 years old, and I didn't commit until maybe October of my senior year of high school, because I was waiting. Harvard was like, we want you, but we just don't know 100% if we can get you into the school, because I had good grades. My SAT scores weren't good enough, so I had to take it I took it a couple times actually.
I know in the intro we said you got into Harvard because of your hockey, not your brains, but you still have to be relatively smart to have got into those places,
Richie, I'm smarter. I'm smarter than I look.
How smart is this guy, Joe?
Yeah, I actually don't know. I wish I could go back and check the records on that too and see what the GPA is and the SAT
GPA
score,
was good. SAT scores, I just put me down for a 6-hour test.
We used to always laugh. They had this program. I don't know if they had it here in Wisconsin too, but growing up in Mass where it was called Naviance. So it was like this program where you could look and see like all the schools you wanted to go to and look at this chart and see like it'd be a bunch of red X's like where on the low GPA, you know, low SAT score scale, and then all the green dots in the right-hand corner. So we always looked at it, and I used to laugh looking at it like Harvard or looking at Notre Dame and seeing like one green dot kind of right in the middle of a lot of red X's. And I'm like, I feel like that's probably Blackie and Pat getting into Notre Dame and Harvard. But,
So at school they had like a.
Did Pat get good grades too?
no, he was a good student too. But
I did well in college, but yeah, they had like a team average. So like I don't remember how it exactly worked, but it included your SAT scores. You had to take like SAT subject tests, I'm pretty sure. So it was just like you picked a subject and you do a whole nother like long SAT of that specific subject, and then like an interview and something else, and then that would give you compute a score with your GPA. And then each team, so the basketball, the football, the hockey team, they would have to have like a specific average. So like if you could get like a perfect SAT score kid that was pretty good at hockey, and then maybe somebody not so smart, maybe like myself, and then that would bring the average up. So yeah, shout out to some of the boys that maybe helped me get in there.
Let's go to your early ads days. How did you end up in Milwaukee, and what were your first impressions of the city?
The first year was 2018, I believe. Maybe the end of 2017. And so I signed with Nashville, but it's a two-way contract.
Did you get traded from San Jose, or was
No.
that like your...
So I signed 1 year with San Jose, and it just like I played, but it didn't really like work out too much. So actually I didn't do really good at all. So then the next summer I like didn't even have a contract. I was looking at like tryouts basically, which is like if you're in a tryout situation, you're kind of like almost shit out of luck basically. And so I went to Rochester or Buffalo's camp, and they said, we'll give you a tryout, and if you do well, then maybe we'll give you a contract for that year. And then I did. I earned a contract from the training camp, did well, and then finally it ended up working out perfectly where the year I played in Rochester, they fired all the coaches from the year before, all the general managers, and it was clean slate. So it was new coaches, new general managers, new everyone across the board. So they had no like allegiance to the prospects or people within the system. And so I was a kid that came in just on a tryout, and the coach just gave me like a awesome opportunity, and I actually got a chance to play and do well. And then that's when the Nashville Predators and Milwaukee Admirals, they're always scouting. They're at all the games. So now the assistant general manager, Scott Nickel in Nashville, he was the head general manager of the Milwaukee Admirals, and I think he's from Rochester or played in Rochester. So he basically called me that free agency and was like, you remind me of myself a little bit, and we think that if you keep doing what you're doing, you could have a chance to play for Nashville, but you'll probably be playing in Milwaukee, two-way deal. And I was like, sign me up. I had never had like an NHL contract before. All the other ones were just like AHL deals, so I couldn't get called up to the NHL at the time. And I went to training camp, got sent down to Milwaukee, and at that same time, that's when Pat and Joe were also coming to town for the first year. So that's how I ended up here.
Did Rochester feed into an organization?
Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah. So San Jose was with San Jose.
So they chose not to sign you, and then you were just on a 1 year deal with them or something, and then
they wanted
Reds
to sign
picked
me,
you up?
but at that time I had done well, so I had other offers for the first time in my career, basically. And so there was a couple other teams out there, but I was kind of looking at it from the standpoint of, at that point in time, turning 25, I'm not young anymore in the hockey world, and I need to find a place that's like, maybe I can play in the AHL, do well and get a chance to play, but then be one of those like 2 to 3 call-up players, and then get my chance that way. And I felt like Nashville at the time had a really good team. We didn't do as well, but we had a really good team, and I knew that they were probably going to want to call up some like veteran guys that could, you have the 20-year-olds that come over from Europe and stuff that are really good players. They're first-round picks, but then you might have a 25-year-old that, like me at the time, that's a little bit more mature. You can kind of plug them in and not really worry about, doing poorly or something along those lines. And if he does poorly, then you send him right back down. And that was kind of where I was like, this is my maybe avenue to get to the NHL, and I'm grateful they gave me an opportunity because it worked out. I've been ever since I got called up, the COVID year hit, and I've been playing in the NHL ever since. So
how I'm guessing that couldn't have been easy. Like, did you think you were going to go to the NHL while you were at Harvard, and how close were you to giving up at that point when you're 23, 24 and going to a training camp on your own dime, basically?
Yeah. So
in a young man's game.
This is a funny story of just like, we didn't talk about it, but I took my freshman year, I did well at school. My sophomore year, I was supposed to do really well again. And I ended up getting like 2 concussions back to back. So I ended up taking like 2.5 years off from hockey, and I withdrew from school for a year because I wasn't going to class. I wasn't going to party or like have a social life. And I wasn't playing hockey or like, so there's 3 things that I wasn't doing. So I'm like, what am I doing here? I went back home just to like try to get healthy again, rather than being in like a locked dark room. And at that time I was like, okay, I haven't played hockey in 18 months. Like I'm not going to be playing pro. And so I started looking at internships, and I applied to like 50 internships, and I went to, there was like some of them were sitting around a round table like this. And I maybe made the mistake of, you have the connections there where people will be willing to give me like an internship, but I kind of wanted to do it on my own. So I went to see if I could compete with some of these other kids at school. And you would go to these like super interviews where you'd sit around a table like this, and it's basically, they would do an interview with like 5 other people, and you get to hear what the other people would say. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, holy shit, these kids are way better candidates than I am. I remember I got to the final round of an interview, and they go around and they're basically trying to get you to sewer the other people and see what you say. And they were like, so why should we pick you over like these 4 people? And I'm like, to be honest with you, dude, like all these people are probably better candidates.
I'm a good guy. I'm a fun time.
You said that in the interview.
Yeah, I was like,
that's awesome.
I was like, I don't know if this is for me or like
Midwestern. He's got that Midwest kindness.
So safe to say,
humbleness.
he didn't get the internship, but
no,
we're happy about that.
I actually ended up getting like an
did you?
offer through that, or the guy was like, oh, I've never had, like, I would just say stuff like, so many of these kids would go in and they're so intense, and they just like, I don't know, like, I was just thinking about it very differently of like, they go in and these people would rip on me, and I'm sitting there like,
He showed up in a tuxedo to the interview.
but I was just like, honestly, like, the guy appreciated what I said basically, and was like, I could tell that you were way more of like a team guy than the rest of these kids. And that's how I ended up, I had a couple, but you know, then all of a sudden at that point in time, I started feeling a little bit healthier, and I also wanted to stick in the hockey world, and I was like working more like hockey related stuff over the summer instead that summer. So I didn't end up doing those internships, but yeah, that was like the funny thing.
This is reminiscent of the famous Tom Brady story. Tom Brady, before he went pro and before he got drafted by the Pats, he was doing the same thing. There's like a picture out there on the internet of his resume where he was like trying to get internships and do all that stuff, and then rest is history. Now he's the GOAT, and he's had a great career too. So a lot of synergies there.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
We just got to get you. We just got to get you a couple
careers,
more,
right?
Just got to get a couple more cups with the Stars, and then we'll,
this is 6 of them, right?
This is
right. So
back to the ads though.
Yeah.
I think we should hammer down on the point. You know, still obviously living in Wisconsin, met. You know, early on when you were here, met love of his life, Lo.
Yeah, how did that happen?
She's the best. Shout out to Lo.
Yeah, this was my second year. I started the first probably 6 weeks of the season. I got sent down from training camp, but I was like the first call up, which worked out because I think it was before Thanksgiving. I got called up for maybe the second time that year, and then I kind of been in the NHL ever since. And it was my second year on the ads, where I don't go downtown as much as I used to. Everything's like new around here. Just even this Walker's Point area, there's so many new bars and restaurants. But I met on a Saturday night, just the boys on the Admirals. We went out after a game, had the next day off, and Lauren and her friends were out. We were cruising around Brady Street, and that's where I met Lauren.
Did you meet at Joe Cat's?
Should I say it? Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Yes. I love that.
I was like, last time I told somebody that, they were like, oh, don't repeat that. But
Joe Cat's the home of Ben Anderson, who's a good buddy
Shout
of
out
ours.
to Ben Anderson.
Shout out to Ben Anderson.
That is awesome. You probably met downstairs at that point. I don't think the
No,
upstairs.
we met upstairs.
Oh, upstairs.
Yeah,
That was probably the newly opened upstairs at that point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Like the boys, we always used to hang out at Joe Cat's. I want
He's
to.
a classy guy. I wasn't going to meet her downstairs. He was going to meet her in the upstairs part.
Was Gravy on that trip there?
But yeah, it was. I'm not sure if those guys still go to Joe Cat's. I'm not sure.
They go to the brewery.
I heard about that. I haven't been there yet.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
We go there to pregame sometimes.
Yeah.
We're a little too old to be there,
Yeah.
at the like going out hours of the night. But
Well, imagine us.
it's
Once
a
you have
good time.
kids, it's like, it's hard to be like, honey, I'm going to go down to
got
Brady
that.
Street.
I think I got
boys.
like 5 years on you over here.
Yeah.
Because
True.
Brady Street used to have like it was Balzac, a little wine
Oh,
bar that
great
was
spot.
good.
That was actually where Bree and I went on our first official date.
That's where Lauren and I went on our first official
All right,
date.
there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
R.I.P. Balzac.
Yeah, seriously. And then what else was there? Is the garage still there?
The garage is
Yeah,
still there. Jack's is still there.
Jack's.
I think everywhere else is pretty much Club Brady.
Yeah, I haven't been
no
there.
man.
We went to Jack's a bunch of times and would watch some, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night football and stuff
Yeah.
there. We did that a few times.
I lived right off Brady Street for like probably 8-ish years. So
Yeah.
I know that area well.
Yeah, that's where Lauren, she used to live off Brady Street.
Then you guys did a nice half-ass millennial suburb move like Bree and I did. Just went to Toso. You
Yes,
still walk to some
exactly.
places. You're close enough, but
exactly.
But so
Need a little space.
you're on that note, you're probably going to stay in Wisconsin for the long haul, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's we're still trying to figure it out, but we don't really have any plans of moving anytime soon. I mean, we talked about here of just being like a transplant and being here, and both of us growing up, I grew up outside of Boston. He was a little bit closer, but even just in the summers, it's just such a even for such a big city, it's a small city. I would be going to the same bars, same restaurants, and I'd see the same people I went to high school with, in college with. And it kind of got to the point where I was, maybe happy with a change of scenery, but it's also just like a rat race. Like for hockey related stuff, I have to go here and travel there. And it's like, I'm in the car. I might as well be working like a 9-to-5 job because of the traffic. And if I want to live out by where my parents live and where I grow up, like, it could be an hour and a half of traffic commuting into Boston every day, depending on when you leave and stuff. So it's just like, it wasn't as
much
convenient
better way of living
anymore.
here, for sure.
And so
Yeah,
when I came out here, it's like, the most amount of traffic, it took me 10 minutes to get into here. And it's like, it's a little bit slower change of pace. Like when I was playing here for the Admirals, I loved it. At the time, Pat was playing for the Bucks. I get to go to games with Joe and Pat and, all the breweries. People came to town. The Admirals did a lot of cool stuff that other teams in the AHL never did when I was a part of it, but they did like father's trips, and my dad got to come and we'd go to, brewery tours together. They get the tour.
They did that again this year.
Yeah, and it's just like that. It's just a really well run. Harris Truers, he treated us so well, and I still keep in touch with him. He's just genuinely like a good guy, and their family's awesome too, and treated us what I thought is like one of the best places I've played in the AHL. And when my dad would come to town or parents would come to town, whether it's golf or just different brewery tours, like there's so much to do here in Milwaukee that. Boston's an awesome city too, but this is just, it's a smaller blue collar vibe of Chicago. I always felt like, and with less traffic. And I've always enjoyed that, like just sitting at like a hole in the wall pub and just sitting around talking. Like the four of us is more my scene, my vibe, as opposed to, I don't know, the East Coast, a lot of the new bars and restaurants and clubs and stuff. I think once I've gotten to a certain age, you just want a little bit more space and a little bit quieter life. And that was
A couple of massholes settling down in Wisconsin.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
embracing the lifestyle.
It is so nice how there's all the major sports teams here. You got like a good food, bar, music scene, and without any like the big city bullshit. And you could get down here in 10 minutes. You can get back to Mequon, other than like 43 being torn up for 6 years
But
now.
still,
like
it's
other
like
than,
you're talking
20 minutes
instead of 20 minutes,
15.
it's 25.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
Like, it's
But Milwaukee, like I remember, I mean, even just like genuine, like my buddies came into town. I always say going to the Third Ward or like the public market, and my buddy, was sitting in the public market getting, I think it was like an old fashioned slushy or something like that. And he just like couldn't believe that you would get a Bloody Mary with like a sidecar of like a Miller High Life, Little Pony, the mini beers, and then the people behind you in line would just start like chatting you up. And my buddies are all super friendly, and he's like, I love this place.
Yeah.
Like in Boston, like everyone's just like, you look at each other and like you basically are like, if you look at me again, we're gonna get into a fight, and then you keep going the opposite way, and it's just like pretty cutthroat. But then once you like, you know, people open up, but like we're not typically very friendly.
Aaron and I, we got married in Milwaukee over at Villa Terrace, and we had all my Boston buddies came back. He was at the wedding. Obviously, Pat was there too, but all the Boston crew came here, and went out to the Third Ward, same thing, and everyone kept like, few of our buddies are funny, you know, joke that they're massholes, but the first few times any like Wisconsinite would go up to them at the bar and be like, yeah, can I get you a beer or this or that? They'd like turn to me and be like, what's this guy's deal? Why is he being so nice?
Is this guy hitting on me? What's going on?
Either that or like playing beer dice with the bartender.
Bar dice,
like, coolest thing.
Yeah,
like, we don't have that back home.
No.
You get that because we'll go to like tailgates and do interviews and stuff, whether it's at Packer games or by the Pfizer before Marquette or Bucks games and stuff. And we love talking to the opposing fans and just seeing what they think of Milwaukee or Green Bay and stuff like that. And they're always shocked by how friendly people treat them while they're wearing opposing jerseys, and just they're thankful that they're here. And they'll buy them a beer, and you know, just like having a good time with them. And people are like, when friends come and visit that are from like California and stuff like that, especially this time of year, I don't have them in the dead of winter, but they're like fucking shocked by how nice the city is, and how Lake Michigan looks like the ocean from a rooftop, and stuff like that. So
that's literally how I ended up. Like when I played here, I had so much fun because there was so much. I was here from November to, you know, say February, March, or even April, and the weather's not nice during that time of the year. And I had so much fun because even though the weather isn't great, there's so much to do because of the Bucks and all the major sports teams. And you got the Packers in the fall. You can go up to Lambeau. You could go to, you know, Madison for a Saturday for a college football game. You got Marquette basketball, like that rivalry. And there is just like a lot of stuff from like a sports tradition. Then you got the Admirals. Even at the Panther Arena, I remember going to Milwaukee Wave game. That was like actually fun. I remember
those
going
are a good time to watch.
They used to have like the women's roller derby. That was like, we don't have that stuff back home. And there was always something to do. And if you enjoy drinking a beer and all the breweries and different bars, like that's what I always found Wisconsin people, like even when the weather, even like they'll drink outside in the snow, and you know, it's just.
And my sneaky favorite thing about Wisconsin too is like, just from going home to Boston recently, like visit my family, is like there's no lines anywhere. There's no. I mean, we talked about the traffic, but like you go to like a popular bar or like popular brewery there. I mean, it could be like an hour wait, a 2 hour wait to even get in the door. And it's
how does that work with the mass holes? I'm a very impatient person. Bree will bash me for that, but I figure that's the norm over there.
Yeah, it's
and they have
brutal.
to wait an hour long lines. I mean, they must be getting pretty.
I mean, they definitely
cranky.
are trying to pull in mass hole moves, trying to cut you in line or whatever.
So I heard that like what they do is they let the lines like build up before they let people in, so people think that's like the place to go, kind of. So when they're walking by, they're like, "Oh,
very ethical from the mass holes over there."
But then so when I came, I enjoyed it in the wintertime. When I came in the summer, that was like when COVID hit, and then you actually get to go on the lakes here, and like all the patios are open, and then even you go west or some of the lakes out in like lake country. I'm like, oh, this is such a cooler, slower change of pace, and I could totally see myself.
And it's only like 25 minutes away from downtown, which is wild. You'll feel like you're in a different world out there. Other things, you had an inflatable hot tub at your hockey house. that is on my notes. Yes. Sorry if I stole this question from you, Joe. I'm just going down and seeing what else we need to chat about before we wrap up.
We have I've got like so many stories from college because it's just like an interesting place.
We can have you back sometime.
Basically this kid that I lived with freshman year, it's all random. So I got lucky. I got a really good roommate, and this guy has done really well for himself now, but he was a wrestler, and he was also like a computer programmer, like pretty computer
what a
like
combination.
Genius. So he was like a video game nerd where he played these video games that I never played growing up, but it was like World of Warcraft and like I don't know, games like that. They were like role playing games. So he knew how to create robots that would create the currency in those games. They would play the game for him 24/7, so his computers were always running. And then he would come home from wrestling practice, and sell that currency on like the video game black market. And this guy was making like, so he eventually ended up investing
Is he like one of the guys who founded an AI startup?
Yeah, like he's doing some like crazy stuff. I missed my 10-year reunion, but some of the guys were telling me what he's up to is like, he's up to a lot of stuff now. But what he did is he was the best roommate to have because he was basically making like free money. And he was then investing in like supercomputers that would then create more of these robots that would play the games. And then he would just sell it on the black market, which I don't know, black market. It's like a video game market. Yeah, video game market. Because people want to be so good at these video games. So they would buy the currency from him for cheaper or whatever. And so he would buy iPads, computers, all the food, all the beer in college, TVs, everything for our room.
Is this where the hot tub?
How much cash was this guy pulling in off this?
A lot.
Like tens of thousands a month?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
He bought this sick inflatable hot tub. So I come back from like a long road trip in upstate New York.
On autopilot in college making that.
He's a legend. This guy. So I come back and we're on the first floor. It's like 3 a.m. We got back from a late road trip and I'm like, all right, he smokes a lot of weed, but like, I don't think he's dumb enough to like fishbowl the whole entire entryway. And so I'm like, okay, it doesn't smell like smoke. So I'm like, I'm like, oh, it's super like humid in here. It's almost like an indoor pool type of thing. I'm like wiping down. And so all of a sudden I walk in and it's like 3 a.m. It's him and 3 other heavyweight wrestlers. And they're playing Xbox in this giant inflatable 104-degree tub in front of like a 60-inch TV. And they're just playing like Call of Duty. And they're like, oh, dude, how sick is this? And so like the second semester of my freshman year, we just had like a hot tub in our room.
That's incredible.
So yeah, when John came to visit, he was like, what the hell is this?
That's a great story. Never heard that.
So yeah, he was a good roommate to have. Shout out Josh.
There's some good NHL. Let's unpack the NHL career though, if we still get some time. And there's a lot of great NHL stories that you have. But obviously you've been a bit of a journeyman. Bounced around to a bunch of teams, and so I'm curious your take. I mean, obviously Dallas, especially after signing the recent deal. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
That Dallas has got to be, I think, and from what I've gathered from you, the favorite choice, the favorite city you've played in. But over the years, any favorite memories of your favorite teammates, favorite city?
Yeah, like I've been lucky where all the places I've played have been pretty cool, like good experiences. Dallas.
We had Chicago, right?
So I started in Nashville. Then I went to the New York Rangers, and I had signed a 2-year deal there. But then the second year, there happened to be a new team coming into the league, so I got picked in the expansion draft, and I went to Seattle for a year. And then I did like decent there, but I was on an expiring contract and our team wasn't good. So then I got traded at the trade deadline to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that was a really cool experience, just playing in that market. There was just like a lot of pressure on those guys because they just hadn't been able to get over the hump. And I would equate playing in Toronto to being like a major NBA player because that's all they have there. They're obsessed with the Leafs. Like I landed in Toronto and like I'm like a fourth line, not no name guy, and all the TSN, all the cameras are there at the airport. It's just like a different beast. Really? And it was cool. Like I was there for maybe 5 minutes and everybody knows who you are, and it's
got to meet Jay Biebs.
Yep, Justin Bieber, my first game there. He is like really good friends.
He's a Toronto guy,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was cool. Just like you just kind of feel kind of closer to like a
Drake at all, or is he just with the Raptors?
Yeah, I was only there for like short amount of time. So yeah, the first game that I played was the Justin Bieber night, and he's friends with like guys on the team. So he came into the locker room and he gave everybody like his Drew brand like swag bag. So we all got like cool stuff. So yeah, that was like my first day there. I'm like, oh, this is pretty sweet. Like it was a good experience. And then that summer I signed 2 years with the Blackhawks, played there. That's original Six franchise, like super closest to home, which was pretty exciting.
This was post Preds and ads, right?
Yes.
All this,
yeah. This is all, yeah. Mm-hmm. This is like chronological from when I left the ads. So I went ads to Nashville, to New York, to Seattle, to Toronto, to Chicago, then Dallas. And then signed 2 up with Dallas for the next 2 years. So I've got to play and like being a part of like Seattle, the inaugural season, like that's something pretty cool. Awesome. That
it's unbelievable
good
arena.
Town.
Yeah, it is a great sports town. They didn't know much about hockey, but they're the fans were crazy and like kind of just really welcoming. That was a really cool experience. Yeah, we really enjoyed that.
Chicago, you get to play with Connor Bedard. You had a sick place in Chicago downtown.
People love the Hawks in Chicago.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, first year I played with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, so those are like two of like the biggest legends. And
you were there after they won the title, right?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to be a
How
part
long
of that.
did you miss that by?
They won in
couple years.
2015.
Oh,
so
wow,
I was,
wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Great question.
I think it was 2010, 2013, 2015, I want to say. So then just like seeing all the legends from the Blackhawks and like what that history was of, they were always around the rink coming back. Chris Chelios, I rented one of his son's places when I was living in Chicago. So I got to like legends like Chris Chelios, who went to University of Wisconsin, like that's Hall of Famer. Like he, just cool stuff like that playing in Chicago. That was a really cool experience. It was unfortunate that we weren't a great team at the time, going through a rebuild and stuff, but you know, I think they got a really bright future with some of the stuff that they've been doing recently. But then you go to Dallas and it's like the weather's nice all year round. Like everyone's pretty friendly. The team's been really good.
Team.
That makes a huge difference.
One
like
of the best teams in the NHL.
Yeah,
you guys had a great run this past
year. Yeah, we lost in the Western Conference Finals. So same teams coming back, so it's like really exciting to go back there. And it's like I would equate that to, you know, the run that the Bucks have had over the last, you know, what is it, 6 or 7 years, just, you know, having a chance to potentially win every single year. And that's what you know, the 3 previous years, 2 years with Chicago and 1 year with Seattle, like we just didn't have great teams or we didn't make the playoffs. And then kind of, you know, flipping that to a 180 of going to a team where every night you have a chance to win is definitely exciting. Like I just got back, you know, almost middle to end of June. So having the long seasons, you get shorter summers, but you know, you get a chance to play in the Stanley Cup playoffs, which is it's unreal.
Speaking of that, we got to pump your tires a little bit too and go back and reminisce on the Game 2 overtime winning goal versus the Avs in the playoffs. That was what was that like, scoring in their place too? That must have been unreal.
Yeah, no, it was actually a home game, so that made it even better because the first 2 games were at home. So that was cool just because going into playoffs, I actually didn't even play in the first game. I got scratched, and I was pretty like bummed out about that. Like I felt like I should have been playing, and like it is what it is. And so I knew that I was eventually gonna get my chance. I just had to be kind of ready for it. So the first game, I basically sat in the press box, like watching the game, and that was like, you're like, oh, I just want to be out there. And so I got a chance to play in the second game, and we had lost 7 in a row going into the playoffs, and we lost game 1, so we lost 8 in a row. So if we had lost that game, it would have been 9 in a row, 0-2 in the first round of the playoffs against a really good team in Colorado, and then going to Colorado, which is a hard place to play, just like altitude, breathing, like they're just really good at home. Like, and so, yeah, I just went into overtime, and yeah, I was lucky that 2 guys collided with each other. So I had a little opening, had a chance to maybe bang one home. And I just I basically like blacked out because it's like,
it was a shot, right? And then your own rebound, was it?
Yeah, it was a shot, and then 2 guys collided, and I was able to get my own rebound. And yeah, the way
that's when I was at home watching on the couch, and I screamed, "Fuck yeah!" when he scored because I was pumped, and I was literally in bed, and Erin almost shot me until she realized that it was Colin who scored the game, and she was fine with it.
Yeah, so that was like, I mean, playing in Dallas, like you don't necessarily think of it as like a hockey market, but it really is a hockey market. The fans are insane. They've been so successful over the last, you know, 5 to 10 years, and you know that building is so loud too, and to be a part of, you know, a goal like that is something that like I'll be able to, you know, tell my son that. And that was like the coolest part of this year, is having a 1-year-old on Saturday, just be able to be at the glass at warm-ups and be at games and stuff like that. When I was younger, you never know when you're going to be able to have a family or whatnot. And I was like, I really hope I get to experience that at some point. So to see my wife and my son at games, like that was like probably the coolest point of the season. And then even just like Lauren, I remember I saw her after the game, she's bawling her eyes out crying, because like, when you think of like overtime playoff games, like it doesn't happen too often. Yeah. So to have that under my belt is pretty cool.
And your story is incredible. Like the odds of you even getting to the NHL after all those injuries and being at the training camp in Rochester, like to come that far and do that on that stage is Pretty surreal.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I just say I'm playing with house money now. I wasn't supposed to be playing this long, and like I think my body's telling me that too. Like your body at 32 isn't meant to be playing this game,
Especially
and
in
it's
hockey,
like,
yeah, that's tough.
So I'm just I'm trying to take it all in because you never know how much longer you keep playing, and I guess I mean I'm grateful for my time here in Milwaukee and the Admirals too, because honestly, like Scotty Nickel, shout out to him. He was the general manager of the Admirals, and he was the one that kind of first guy I felt like that actually like believed in me, and I listened to what he said, and he was like, I think you can play in the NHL, and I don't think if I had made that decision to come here and like kind of develop here, then I probably wouldn't be sitting on this couch with you guys today. So like my time in Milwaukee, like I got a lot of love for this place.
I think we got to touch on just one more of my favorite NHL stories of his career when you were playing with the Rangers and the dropping the mitts on the opening faceoff. So you got to give us the background story on that. That was pretty electric.
So that was the COVID year, and there's this guy. If you don't know hockey, there's this guy who's Tom Wilson, who's like a big heavyweight. Like he's huge. He's a unit, and he just like crushes guys. And he was on. We were playing that year. Because of COVID, we only played the same 8 teams, and we played Washington. I want to say it was like probably 6 times that year or whatever. So these games became almost like series. And this guy, took what we thought was a cheap shot. Our best player, he didn't have his helmet on because in a scrum. And it's like when you got like a big heavyweight guy and then maybe a skill finesse guy, like you can rag him and stuff like that, but maybe not beat the wheels off of him. And he slammed him down on the ice, and the guy almost hit his head without a helmet on the ice. Like could have been pretty dangerous. So we didn't have any real guys that could really answer the bell to say like we didn't have any really heavyweights. And so the next game we played them, there was just all this talk that something was going to happen, and there was basically talk in the morning that like drop of the puck, everybody's gonna just like drop the mitts and fight and be 5-on-5 fight and stuff. And I wasn't supposed to be starting. And shout out to another Wisconsin guy. He went to Madison a little bit before my time, but I played with him on the Stars. Brendan Smith, he was a really good player at Wisconsin. I played with him on the Stars, and he's the one that fought this guy, Tom Wilson, to answer the bell. But basically, to start the game, they agreed to, all 5 guys drop the mitts and fight and have a line brawl to start the game.
Pre-game. This was an agreement on both sides.
It was agreement on our side, and like they didn't really have a choice, basically.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So our owner found out about this, and James Dolan came into the room and was like, "No fighting in this game. The only way to get ahead in life is to like get over it." And we're all looking at each other like, I don't think you realize
Bunch
what's
of
going to
hockey
happen.
guys, like no chance.
So originally,
Did Dolan know about this beforehand, or was this just ironic?
I guess he found out about it.
Rumblings or something.
Well, it's been talk around the league, all like, people talking on podcasts and stuff. And I think there were some rumblings like what's going to happen. Everybody was anticipating this game because, our best player could have gotten like seriously. He did get hurt. He hurt his knee and was out for like a little bit too. So I was like, yeah, what's going to happen? And so he came in, and little did he know, before he even got to a seat, 10 guys had already dropped the mitts and fought. But long story short, they had given us the lineup earlier in the morning at pregame skate, and I wasn't supposed to be playing, or I wasn't supposed to be starting. And then we got to the game beforehand, and they had switched me out. This kid on right wing, I guess, had said he didn't want to fight, and I'm not a fighter either. So all of a sudden, I'm glad I didn't have the whole day to think about this, which actually made it better. But all of a sudden, it's literally like the puck's going to drop in 5 minutes, and they read the opening lineup, and they're like, and on right wing, Blackie. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Immediately goes back to the locker, starts taping up the wrist.
I was like, oh shit, like nobody told me this. Like, I guess it ended up working out that way. So we go to the open lineup, and thank God, like I went against this nicest dude in the world, this Swedish, not a big fighter as well. And I was like, hey dude, you don't have a choice. Like, and he's like, I'm not fighting you. I'm like, you don't have a choice. Like, and so we just like, I jumped him, dropped the mitts, and just brought him to the ground. Like nothing too major, but yeah, everybody else was just like teeing off on each other. There's a good video out there of just like the guys going hard. And I think we had
electric.
We had like 7 or 8 fights in the first like 5 minutes of the game, and it was by the end of the game there weren't really enough players to like finish the game because everybody had like misconducts and stuff and all that stuff. So that was a good memory. So some fan had actually sent me a picture that I got all the guys to sign. It was like a joke of all the guys who fought that day, and all our jerseys are like photoshopped in the Madison Square Garden in the rafters because we answered the bell for this thing. So I got all the guys to sign it, and it's hanging up in my basement.
That's awesome.
It was funny. Well, in hockey, like I didn't play hockey. I can't skate, worse shit. But just talking to the ads, having them on several times throughout the year, it seems like when you're fighting, like you're not trying to kill the other guy. They're like, there's a mutual level of respect where you're like in a fight, but you don't want to injure someone or something. Is that or no?
Yeah, I would say, I don't know. Like, I don't know who there's some guys, they just tee off on each other.
Did you play with Kyle Marino at all?
I haven't. He kills people. So like, I don't know if he's telling you.
It was funny. We were at a game last week.
He's a killer.
He hasn't come on, but I'll ask like the guys who they'd want in a bar fight, and he's the unanimous answer on the team. And like,
he's known as like a heavyweight in the AHL, and like I don't think he goes easy on people. Like I've seen people get knocked out. Like, so I don't know if that's 100% for me.
Like Tom Wilson.
Maybe it was a rare instance, but Bree and I were at an ads game this past year, and he like kind of beat the shit out of someone on the ice like he usually does. But then he kind of like had his hand under his head to make sure his head didn't
So I would
hit
say,
the ice. So he like
I see what you're saying.
He didn't want to crack his head open, and then I think he might have even like
so
helped
he'll
him
do
up
that
after beating the shit out of people.
And like I think hockey players in general, if there's like a scary situation like that, I hope. It's just like a natural.
You don't want to end anyone's career.
Yes, exactly. But Kyle Marino, for sure, I've seen him knock a few people out, so I don't think he's going easy on
We actually went to an Admirals game this year and watched them play. It was a fun time. My funny story of that was, you remember this? We were standing there right at the glass watching, and there was a scrum in the corner, and one of the sticks got lodged in between the boards. I could literally see the blade right in front of me. Everyone's yelling at me like, kick his stick back to him. So I kicked the stick back through the boards and literally speared one of the guys on the other team with the stick. And we were like, it was pretty fun.
Those guys do a great job, though. That whole organization.
Oh, yeah. My wife was just saying, even like the setup that they had at the state fair, that she just said that they do a really good job with like the marketing and everything.
They got good marketing people.
So it's a good organization.
Kim does marketing over there. Charlie's in sales. And then other Charlie's higher up. But and then I ran into Peter Epperson. I bumped into him over at Missing Links.
No way.
The other night, told him you were coming on. His son just got drafted.
Yeah, his son's a stud.
LA,
He's I'm not sure where he is right now. I think he went to Canada to play. I forget which team. But yeah, he's a stud. I skated with him a bunch over the last couple of summers because he's a good kid and then also a good player. And like around here, like you want to see all the young players that are coming up that stick in Milwaukee and then also like do well, so we can all come back in the summers and skate with each other and stuff, because Minnesota has this hockey culture and we're trying to build it here in Milwaukee. So I'm excited to be a part of it. But I've talked to Mr. Epperson a lot. He's a great dude.
What a great guy.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll end it there.
Perfect.
Yep. Beautiful.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Thanks for coming on.
Just a little bit.
Get you warmed up. You'll be back sometime.
Sweet. Thanks for having me.
Joe, thanks for coming back.
Anytime. Happy to be here.